Right. So the people in Minnesota, okay, who are scamming the government and the taxpayer of all of the honest taxpayer money, have essentially, spread their wings, and they're now threatening reporters in Ohio, okay, for asking simple questions. So why? Because the Minnesota fraud isn't local anymore; it's everywhere. We have just uncovered ghost daycares with blacked out windows in Philadelphia, collecting $23 million. We found them in Washington state, and we also found them in Maine. Now, while the media attacks anyone who reports this as racist, the Trump White House has seen enough. And they just confirmed that citizenship revocation is now on the table. This is no longer a local scandal. It is a national heist. Now, let's take a look at the proof.
We have just reported you to the police, okay?
Okay, that's fine. I'm not breaking any laws.
You are racist.
I'm not.
Huh?
I'm just asking, is this a child care center?
I know who you are.
Okay, is this a child care
You
center?
are terrorist.
So
what?
So this joker is accusing an American citizen who is asking questions about the validity or the legitimacy of a daycare. He's calling that person a racist, and then he's also calling them a terrorist. Okay, like, you can't make this up. And you know what? They're on video doing it.
I'm a what? Did you say I'm a terrorist?
You are racist. I know who you are, fucking guy.
We are here at the Bonatti Child Care 2 LLC on Cleveland Ave in Columbus, Ohio at 5 p.m. On a weekday. It says that they are open from 6:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Sunday. And it's 5 p.m. right now, and we'll knock on the door and see if anyone's actually here. Doesn't look like there's anyone that would be here. Certainly not a place that I would want my children, if I had kids, to be. Wait a couple more seconds, maybe give another knock. Don't hear anything, no cars, and it's 5 p.m., so there would be, you would think, lots of pickups going on.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually a active child care center. There is a camera right there, right up there, you see.
So I keep saying that that this is all not. It doesn't look good. I have a kid. Of course, you just saw my toddler walking in the background. I drop him off at daycare. And why is he home? Because the family is home. It's a holiday. But when we do drop him off at the daycare, we usually pick him up around 5. So by now, the parking lot should be filled with parents picking up their kids. Where are the parents? And that clown who was in frame earlier is calling him a racist and a terrorist for asking questions.
They do have some sort of activity going on. There's a boutique right next door, so with Arabic writing on it. There's someone looking through now the corner, so she just popped through. I don't know if she's gonna come out or not. I didn't see any kids in there, don't see any pickups going on, but there was a woman in there, so she did peek through, not opening the door. We'll wait another 10 seconds or so, we'll see. Don't believe they're going to be coming to the door, but there was someone peeking through right through that window, so there are people in there, or at least one person that we know of. Does not appear to be an actual daycare center, though, so
nope, doesn't look like it.
Should be some investigations going into this soon, hopefully. Hey, man, is this a child care center? Hey, is this a child care center?
Why are you recording?
I'm asking a question. Is this a child care center?
Why are you recording?
Is this a child care center?
No, Stop,
It's not.
stop recording.
It's not our child. Why can't I record?
Stop recording. You're resisting.
Why?
Why you recording?
Because I'm curious if this is a child care center.
Where you from?
I'm from Ohio.
No. Who's in you?
Me, I'm an independent person. I own my own company.
So you are a YouTuber, so you need social media.
I mean, I represent myself.
We have just reported you to the police, okay?
Okay, that's fine.
Oh,
I'm
that's
not
nice.
breaking any laws.
You are
So,
resisting.
so the criminals are reporting
asking, is this a
citizens to the
childcare
police
center?
I
now.
know who you are.
Okay, is this a child care
You are
center?
terrorist.
I'm a what?
Yeah.
I'm a what? Did you say I'm a
You are
terrorist?
resisting. I know who you are. Fucking guy.
You said I'm fucking gay, I guess? Is that what you just said? Are there any kids in there? Is this an actual child care center? Okay. Have a good...
You watch these stories, and it's just clear that there's more going to be coming out. Nick Shirley has lit a fire, and everyone is going to be visiting daycares to make sure that these daycares are working, because guess what? They're receiving your taxpayer money and essentially need to be offering these services, else you guys are being literally robbed. Okay. And while all of that is happening, okay, that was Columbus, Ohio. Here's some footage from Philadelphia. Okay, because when we say that this is a national heist, it's not an exaggeration. Independent journalists now are paying visits to all of these locations, and the reporting isn't good for immigrants, especially immigrants who want to start honest businesses. These jokers who go into the United States or first world countries and just decide that the only thing that they can do is to create a crime enterprise. It creates problems for immigrants like me. So, here's reporting from Philadelphia.
Maternity Care Coalition is a nonprofit that got $23 million from the government to run daycares like this. So it is 2 p.m. This place is supposed to be open. It closes at around 4:30. We're going to try and buzz one more time to see if anybody opens up. Looking for childcare. Okay, so nobody's going to open. Okay, another entrance. Gonna knock again. Again, it's 2 p.m., so within operating hours, this place should be open. Little Frank needs childcare. Hello? Childcare. Okay, so they didn't answer, so we're gonna call the number on their website and let's see if
someone answers.
Thank you for calling Maternity Care Coalition. We're closed for the Independence Day holiday.
It's a little bit cold for Independence Day.
Okay, so let me know what you think about these stories we're covering in the chat. We're going to be responding to the chat in the bonus segment where we engage with you. And if you're watching for the first time, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Hit the bell icon. And let's look at what Cam Higby has uncovered. Yesterday, we saw his reporting on a different issue. Now, here is him exposing yet another daycare.
All right, we are at Halauli Safia Child Care Center in Kent, Washington. They have received $863,000 since 2023. I don't see any signs right off the bat that it's a child care facility. There's no car seats, there's no children's toys, nothing like that. So we're gonna go in and we're gonna check it out. Hi, is this Halauli Childcare? No, there's no childcare here. Okay, God, thank you so much.
And yet it's on the website.
All right, guys, so we're just at Halauli, what's allegedly Halauli Child Care Center in Kent, Washington, which is right behind me right here. We went up to the door, the exact address listed on the state website, receiving over $800,000 in 2023. They claim there's no child care here.
A couple $100,000 for the cars.
I went and tried to ask the neighbor.
All right, so that's the address. the state pays that company over $800,000, I think, in 2020. Did he say 2024? There's no daycare there, and yet there are lots of high-end cars. Not necessarily high-end cars, but interesting cars. There's a Tesla there, at least. Okay, so what's going on? Can someone explain?
If there was daycare there, nobody answered. But I could see the people who lived in that house peeling the curtains back, because just like all the other places, all the curtains were drawn, you couldn't see in or anything. They're peeling the curtains back and watching me as I walk around to the neighbors' houses, and they're scrambling and yelling, and I can hear them. What's up with that? Pretty weird. So I'm out of the field now. I'm back at the house, and I'm looking at this Halali Safia children's daycare on their government webpage. And their licensed capacity is 9, just like the other place. And their total available slots, meaning the total amount of children they can take on, is 6. Meaning this daycare is only serving 3 children. I mean, I think it's likely they're not serving any children, considering they told me they're not a daycare. But at most, there could be 3 children being served by this place, and they're raking in $800,000 since 2023. I've now pulled up one of their inspection reports for Halali.
That's crazy, guys.
And what you see is, again, short-term, long-term, serious and immediate risks. The government defines serious and immediate risks as risks that pose serious risk of injury, illness, or even death for children that attend these daycares. And this is the most recent inspection report with no indication that it's been corrected or fixed. And they're still raking in hundreds of thousands of dollars. I don't even understand how this is possible.
So the state has inspected the facility, has pointed out that there are risks to the children, any children who are being taken care of at that location. And it doesn't appear like any of those issues have been fixed. And yet the state is still shelling out hundreds of thousands of dollars to at least this location. So how doesn't that look like fraud? Whenever we say this is fraudulent, and people say, "Well, you're just exaggerating the issue. You're being racist. You're parroting right-wing narratives." We're looking at the receipts. We're looking at the reporting, and all of these people are essentially reporting the same thing: buildings that are earmarked by the government as locations for daycares. And when you go in there to inquire about, if the daycare is operational, they say there is no daycare here. They don't say, yes, it's a daycare, but you can't come in because we are concerned about the safety of the children. Or you can come in, but turn off your camera so that you can take a look, it's kids. And then the guy goes in, looks around, and then steps out, turns on his camera and says, it's legitimate. So all of these locations where you have people rushing out and calling the reporters racist and terrorists and pedos, all of these places, of course, are suspicious. And then they call the police. Okay? I've seen it all now. The criminals calling the police.
Normal inspection report for one of these daycares is like 2 pages long. But look at this. It just goes on and on and on.
That's crazy.
Short-term, long-term, serious, and immediate risks.
Oh, jeez. And it still gets paid.
I mean, I don't even know how far. We're not even halfway. You can see the scroll wheel on the side. This is how long this report is. It should be only 2 pages. Look at this. I mean, we have to be 20 pages deep at this point. So that inspection I just showed you, the horrendously failed inspection, was in February of 2025. But if we come over here to their funding, like check this out. February 2025, they received $32,840.
They were still getting
March,
paid.
Another $32,688. In April of 2025, $32,688. And again, like there's no indication that these issues were fixed. This is 207 is the most recent inspection.
Over and over again, we're seeing the same pattern. We're seeing people who claim to have daycares running, and when you go over to the buildings, there's nothing happening. And if you push hard enough, they call you a racist.
Are you recording our home? Oh yeah, I was trying to find the local daycares.
We already know about what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
This is a licensed property. If you have a complaint, go to the state.
Okay, I was trying to find out if you guys are a daycare. I was just trying to see.
Well, you don't have to. Yeah, you don't have to. If you want to know any questions, just go online and ask who you need to ask. But
No, there's nobody online to ask, so I'm just trying to ask you guys.
No, you don't have to ask us anything.
I don't have to?
If you have any questions, go
I
to the
do.
state.
I have a question. I was just asking you guys.
And
Okay, you guys were listed on the website and a bunch of websites, so for daycares. So
Oh, that's what it is. Then you don't need to go door to
it's
door.
yeah, no, you can. Yeah, I have. You can go door to door.
So if you have any questions, go call the child care check, and they'll give you whatever information that you need.
Okay, so you guys aren't a daycare then? Not a public daycare, right?
So the government gives all of the information about these locations. And then when the journalists go to those locations to figure out if this is an active daycare, the daycares have obviously been coached to stonewall these individuals. And states that support this fraud essentially run cover for them because, of course, we saw the police officer who had to remove Nick Shirley from the building when one of those outfits called the cops on him and his friend who were covering the story. So right now we're going to start seeing a lot of stonewalling, and this is where the FBI needs to come in. Now, will the FBI do their job? Okay, I've said this before. They haven't been doing their job. Maybe they've been too distracted by Epstein files and everything else that's going on, that there are bigger fish that they want to fry, and they're leaving the obvious flagrant corruption happening in these blue cities. Of course, we know about the violent crime that Trump tried to stop, sent in the National Guard, and they've been fighting him on that. And now citizen journalists are uncovering even more outrageous fraud happening in the guise of serving America's kids or America's children with daycares, and the daycares don't exactly serve anyone's kids.
Okay, I didn't think so. Oh, I can, yeah. So these ones were really hostile. I just knocked on the door just to see if it was a local daycare listed on the websites. She said contact the state. It's interesting.
So that is, I think we're going to start seeing more of these individuals pushing back and claiming that that the journalists have no right to cover their property, and they should go to the state to ask questions. And of course, the state is not going to be helpful to anyone, and we already saw that in Minnesota. Now, the Somali community, has of course been disproportionately responsible for most of this fraud. And here's a U.S. rep essentially covering this and giving his own statement on it. This is Ted Cruz, and here's what he has to say.
And if you go back to the governor and his tweet that he put out on 10/20 of 2023, he said, quote, Minnesota's economy doesn't work without child care providers, so we're giving them a raise. We're providing $316 million in direct funding to boost pay for child care providers, all while building a stronger child care system for middle-class families. Learn more at mn.gov/DHS/partners, and many of the groups that were defrauding our government are listed in that governor's text and tweet right there.
Well, look, this is a story, number one, about fraud. It's about corruption. It's about political corruption. It is about an immigrant community, the Somali community, that came over and discovered American politicians willing to be partners with them, partners in robbing the taxpayers. The scale of this theft, it really boggles the mind. You're looking at a period of years where Minnesota spent $18 billion on Medicaid. Now,
let me cut in here, and I need to say something, okay? Politicians like Ted Cruz, I'm not going to attempt to advise President Trump because President Trump will do what he does. But whenever you have the opportunity to talk about this, I think nuance is important. Nuance is important. simply putting out a blanket statement that says the Somali community has come in to rob the American people, it is feeding the beast that is mainstream media that would of course claim that this is all targeting a certain segment of the society. When I point out the fact that this community, has been known to do this, there are people within the community who don't agree with the practices of some of these businesses. They don't agree with the practices of the majority of the Somali community that has been coerced into voting for people or for representatives based on tribe. They've carried their tribal politics, into the United States and into the countries where they've settled, and they're still doing the same things they did in Somalia in those countries. So some Somalians have stepped out and said, this isn't what we want to do. Okay, we don't want to be this group that does this kind of thing because we fled our countries to escape this, and you're dragging this back up. And most of the whistleblowers in Minnesota, or some of them, not most of them, some of them are actually people of Somali heritage. So the nuance has to be clear, and politicians like Ted Cruz, and other Republicans and conservative influencers have to try to bake in that nuance so that it doesn't appear like this is. So it's like Nigerians, okay? For decades now, Nigerians have been known to be scammers. Okay, the Nigerian prince joke, and one of the things that has hurt Nigerians is that people don't want to let us into their countries anymore, because once they see the green passport, they're like, okay, these are the scammers. But people who have engaged with meaningful, responsible Nigerians know that Nigerians are some of the hardest workers out there. You have more Nigerians in STEM. You have more Nigerians running successful businesses that are not criminal. Okay, but the actions of a minority who have stolen from foreigners or from Americans have essentially tainted the name of Nigerian. So I can understand how Somalians would feel if people are essentially generalizing. But it doesn't help when you have Somalians who can't step in front of a camera and have a decent conversation without calling people terrorists and racist. So I think it goes both ways. On the one side, the burden of proof right now rests with the Somalian community. They need to prove that they are honest. They need to prove that they aren't running scams or shady businesses. Pulling up and being confrontational and aggressive against people who are asking questions simply because a bunch of you did something wrong isn't the right way to handle this. If someone pulled up in the comment section and begins to attack me and say that I'm a scammer, then I'll engage in myself. Okay, so what proof do you have that I'm a scammer? I'm running a respectful business. Here's all of the stuff that you can see that I'm doing. What proof do you have that I am a scammer? It's a very simple conversation to have. Okay, so them doing what they're doing doesn't help. But again, people on the conservative side simply using blanket terminology on a whole community isn't helpful. They need to be more nuanced, else it doesn't help this entire conversation. We don't want the narrative or the topic to be lost because people are beginning to pull up the racist card. We don't want that to happen.
And up to half of it, $9 billion, was fraudulent. One out of every $2 spent was stolen. And the absolute staggering brazenness of this really makes the jaw drop. But it also, there was a vicious and corrupt circle where Minnesota politicians, Democrats, shoveled money to these Somali fraudsters. The Somali fraudsters made millions and even billions of dollars. They sent millions and even billions of dollars back to Somalia, back to al-Shabaab, the Islamic terrorist group there. But they also gave thousands or even millions of dollars to Democrat politicians to get them elected. And in turn, they shoveled even more and more cash. The two joined together. It was like Bonnie and Clyde.
So yes, Ted Cruz, being a Republican politician, okay, is leaning towards the Democrats are feeding off the corruption trough. Okay, he's doing that. Again, let's stick to the topic. Let's stay on topic. This is like what's going on with the Charlie Kirk situation. Charlie Kirk got assassinated. For about a month or two, the momentum was heading in the right direction until a few actors decided that they wanted to make a sensational series out of the Charlie Kirk murder. And now the entire thing is looking like it's derailed. It is no longer about conservatives coming together and essentially pushing back on insanity. It is now conservatives eating their own. So sometimes when you lose the narrative, that's what tends to happen, where we're seeing people using terminology, and it's going to get messy because now the question is, okay, so who are you talking about? And then that is the kind of thing that mainstream media can latch onto and begin to dilute the entire conversation. Now, a state representative from from Maine, from Maine, Katrina Smith, has addressed allegations of state Medicaid fraud because this all started when fraud. Medicaid was being brought forward as this huge, fantastic thing that the Democrats created, and everyone should love it. And then it began to, show up that there's lots of fraud. And then doing more digging, okay, where we've discovered EBT and SNAP fraud, we've discovered Medicaid fraud, and then now we're discovering daycare fraud. What other fraud are they going to uncover? Well, this representative from Maine, okay, gives this press conference, and let's have a listen.
Good afternoon. I'm Representative Katrina Smith. I'm the Assistant Leader of the House Republicans and the representative for District 62. I'm here to tell you today that my constituents and the constituents of my caucus members have had enough. The tax-paying citizens of Maine have had enough of fraud, waste, and lies. The people of Maine understand that we have a fiscal responsibility to keep our roads fit for travel, to care for those who need our help. And we don't mind that money comes out of our paychecks for those endeavors. What we do mind coming out of our paychecks is money being sent to people in non-governmental organizations that are defrauding us. They're defrauding us because they are not providing the services that they claim to provide. They are defrauding us because they are personally gaining wealth from our tax dollars without doing the work they claim to do. We know that Gateway Community Services was found to have over $800,000 in fraudulent billing. We know that the money from the Lewiston tragedy didn't go to families of survivors. And now, just like Minnesota and Ohio, whose fraud is numbering in the billions of dollars at this time, this $800,000 can only be the tip of the iceberg of what's really happening here in Maine. Our constituents are struggling to pay their electric bills. They wonder if they can even think of going on a family vacation this year. And look, now they have a new tax on streaming services, on simple paint for their house. Their budgets are pressed, and they can't take any more, and they especially can't take money being continually wasted. It's time for a full-throated, hold-back-nothing investigation into these organizations and for all involved. The people of Maine are demanding accountability for the money that they send to Augusta every single day, and we are here to stand up for them.
So that's essentially right now everyone is jumping on the fraud bandwagon. There's fraud happening everywhere. We need to fight fraud. So clearly people in office are agreeing to the fact that there's waste, fraud, and abuse, and kind of reminds you of what happened earlier in the year with Doge, and the Democrats trotted their best out to accuse the Republicans of wanting people to die because they weren't getting these benefits shoveled over to them. Now, on the streets or back on the street, you have another Somali daycare in Columbus, Ohio, that is being asked how to enroll a child. And let's see how they respond. Remember, I've said the burden of proof is on these people. If they're going to prove that they aren't shady, then they should show that they aren't shady. They should have conversations. Being hostile and being told that they should be it's just tiring to see them just create more problems, and it essentially gives more credence to the accusation that there's fraud. Let's have a listen.
Today I'm showing you 161 Childcare in Columbus, Ohio. And as you can see, it does not look like a childcare center at all. It is locked. It says it's open. There's a little desk right there, but the ceiling's all falling out and stuff like that. And if you come around back, you can see that this place is just a total dump. Literal just debris everywhere. This is a question. How do you enroll? How do you enroll your children here? You can't do that? No kids? So how can I enroll my children? It says you get public money through. You get public money through Ohio. You get money through the state of Ohio. This is a money that gets.
All right, so guys, let me know in the chat. Okay, now for me, these stories are getting, should I say, tiring? It's just more of the same. It's more of people getting caught and called out for corruption, and yet what we see is the same reaction coming from the community that runs these institutions or these companies or daycares. And then we also have CNN and TDSBC now attacking they're now attacking the people who are discovering the fraud. Now, let's watch this report. And this is the Minnesota government. Remember, we played her account yesterday. And here she is. She's back telling us that the Minnesota State Department of Children's Services found no fraud.
Each of the facilities mentioned in the video has been visited at least once in the last 6 months as part of our typical licensing process. For the current child care centers that have been named in the video, we have not paused. There isn't a current pause on any of their payments. As we gain more information from the folks that are out visiting today and gathering additional information, that may change, but currently there is no pause on any of the those individual centers.
So they are still paying out money to these centers that have been exposed to have been fraudulent. The state of Minnesota doesn't see anything wrong with what's going on. Now, this Newsmax report, of course, covers what we've all seen before, but here's their take on Nick Shirley's coverage.
If you're looking for a way to describe Somalian immigrants living in this country right now, try just got here. That would be appropriate because most of them literally just got here. Again, we don't say that to be mean. We say it because it's the truth. And so is this.
Well, this is a country founded by immigrants.
Well, this is a country
This is a
founded
unique
by
country.
This is a very unique country, and it was founded by some immigrants and some settlers. But just because we were founded by immigrants doesn't mean that 240 years later that we have to have the dumbest immigration policy in the world.
It should be okay to say that. That's the vice president right there with Margaret Brennan of the Legacy Media. It should be okay to say that out loud. That you don't have anything against Somalian immigrants per se. Maybe you do. But why are we required to be so supportive of them? Why do we owe them anything? The answer, and Margaret knows this too, is that the American people don't owe the people of Somalia anything. And the American people don't owe the Somalians who are here now anything.
I agree.
But the media would rather run with this narrative that Somalian refugees were on board the Mayflower, or that Somalian refugees rode with Paul Revere during his famous midnight ride. ICE is coming. Or they fought in the Civil War. Or they fought in World War I and fought in World War II. Somalian immigrants landed on the moon, people. Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and that guy right there. Remember him? Remember that guy? He brought the gun, too. If it sounds ridiculous, guess what? It is meant to sound ridiculous because this is all ridiculous. But again, the media would rather tell the fairy tale instead of the truth. That most Somalian immigrants just got here and have nothing to do with the story of America. Again, we aren't saying that to be mean. We're saying it because it is the honest truth.
I agree. Now, guys, we're going to engage in the comments section in the second part of the live stream. This is just us going through the stories and covering what has essentially been flooding my my feed. Okay, it's just all over the place, and like I said, it's exhausting to just watch all of this happen. But we just have to talk about it. Yesterday, while I was having a conversation, I said that one of the reasons why we call these things out is because if you don't call them out, in a few years, someone is going to pull up to a conversation and simply say exactly the thing that we refuse to call out today, because it would have been established as the truth. I had a conversation a couple of months back, and someone was literally parroting the Charlottesville hoax to me in 2025. So if you don't call out these insane lies, they're going to continue to repeat them in your face. Okay. Now, we already reported that the Trump administration has frozen child care payments to the state of Minnesota. So there's movement in that regard. But while all of that is happening, and we know that mainstream media is late to the game as usual when it comes to these stories, they are now, instead of covering the actual story of the fraud that has been uncovered, they are covering the people who covered or who uncovered the fraud.
From CNN, can we talk to you? This is MAGA YouTuber Nick Shirley, back at a daycare in Minnesota.
So CNN introduces him as a MAGA YouTuber. So where's the objective journalism there? First off, they don't cover the fraud. Second off, they begin a hit piece on Nick Shirley, who exposed the rot.
He alleged was a fraudulent facility in a now viral video.
People are going to say this is a left or right issue, but no, fraud is fraud. Over here. And so I'm not.
So they open up by saying that he's a MAGA YouTuber and that he alleged that the establishments that he recorded talking to, that he alleged, with all the evidence in front of you. It's like you're sitting on your front porch and you record someone being run over by a vehicle, and then these clowns say that the person who recorded the crime alleged that this person was run over. Okay, that is how brain dead these reports are. It's like every time you sit and listen to some of these people, sometimes I can't believe that I spent decades listening to CNN, because I listen to these things and I'm like, what on earth are these people saying? We watched the videos, we watched the documentary. Didn't you? Didn't you see how these people reacted when he simply asked the question, how can I sign up my kid? This place is obviously empty. And nothing. And then these guys show up late to the show, and the topic is Nick Shirley.
I'm out here trying to put a twist on things.
Shirley's viral video, released over the weekend, in which he says he's uncovering tens of millions of dollars in fraud at Minneapolis daycares run by the Somali community, was retweeted by Elon Musk and Vice President J.D. Vance. In the video, Shirley tries to open locked doors and talk to people at various daycares he claims are frauds.
Okay,
Did you
let me know in the chat if you've seen this documentary. Was Nick Shirley trying to open locked doors, or was he knocking on doors and trying to get a response from people who supposedly worked at these places? Okay. The mainstream media has lost all credibility. And you know what? I'm hoping that somehow the Trump administration stops Big Pharma from funding their insanity, because the only reason why they have all the money to continue doing the nonsense they're doing is because Big Pharma is still paying the bills of these legacy media outfits.
During their normal operating hours when you came to visit?
I came at 11 a.m., I believe, and I also came the following day later in the day. The point of it is not whether or not I came at the right time of their operation hours. The point is that blacked out doors, they can't give you any information. You call that number, no one answers. I wasn't trying to go inside, and there should be a way for somebody to actually be able to call that number and somebody be able to answer. These aren't real businesses.
But surely you don't think a daycare should just be unlocked. You shouldn't be able to just walk.
So you see that she doesn't address that concern. She pivots to the gotcha question she's trying to get him to answer so that they can get their viral clip.
Into a daycare.
Be a reception.
No, every daycare is locked.
Their doors are locked.
And so, okay, you bring up a fair point. Then but why can't they actually give me information how to enroll a child?
Federal law enforcement has been investigating.
See how they cut away from a very valid question? If I walk into a daycare and I say, I want to enroll my child, and the person proceeds to give you information, then problem solved. But if they don't give you information about how to enroll a child, and they basically just pull out their phones and start recording you and start calling you a racist and try to get you to leave the building, there's a problem there.
Fraud in Minnesota for several years. Both Attorney General Pam Bondi and FBI Director Kash Patel said on social media they've indicted dozens of defendants. DHS has posted multiple videos of agents they say are conducting a massive fraud investigation. Do you think that federal law enforcement hasn't done enough? I mean, they would say, look, these fraud cases have been going on, but they've already done like 80 indictments. The cases have been going on, for years.
And why did I show up one day in Minnesota and go to all these daycares, no children? Yeah. They're receiving millions of dollars. They incurred nearly $110 million in fraud in one day.
How do you know that all the allegations that you're making are true?
How do I know that they're true? Well, we showed you guys what was happening, and then you guys can go ahead and make your own analysis.
We're coming so we can make our own analysis. Are you 100% sure you're true?
Yeah, I am 100% sure I'm true.
CNN is looking into Shirley's.
So CNN arrives after a video has gone viral, after all of these fraudulent businesses have begun to backtrack and try to populate their daycares with kids. And clearly, the daycares are going to open their doors to CNN so that CNN can whitewash the entire thing and make them look legit. Okay? And just like Makhaimla said yesterday in the chat, the mainstream media is complicit in the corruption that's happening in these states. They support it, they endorse it, and they encourage it with all of this coverage.
Claims. Hi, my name's Whitney Wild. I'm a correspondent for CNN. We reached out to several of the daycares featured in the now viral video. Only one daycare facility answered and said they are a legitimate business.
Have you seen the videos, purporting that some of these daycares don't have kids inside?
Minnesota Republicans say despite the new focus from the Trump administration, they have been sounding the alarm on fraud for years.
We have talked about fraud. We have gotten stories. We've tried to push this forward every way that we can.
At the daycare where Shirley showed back up, a stream of children walk inside.
You're saying that this is a fraudulent daycare. There's kids being dropped off right now.
Yes. The Commissioner of Children literally said a week ago this place was closed.
Yep.
They're showing face right now.
A viral video, disputed claims, and their full fallout remains to be seen.
Whitney, you mentioned in your story that there were dozens of convictions going back to 2022. Can you explain what those convictions established?
Well, this was really the beginning of this massive fraud case that has now led to more than 50 convictions, 56 people at least convicted as of September of this year, Jim. At least 78 people have been indicted in that case. It was this sprawling investigation that, DOJ has really touted as their effort to try to root out what is a fraud problem here in Minnesota.
And yet nothing much has happened for years, and suddenly, because of a viral video, everyone is running to cover their butts. I've said this several times, and I'm going to say it again. Sometimes, why do we do this where we cover things and it's like, is anything going to happen really? But here's the White House saying that if any of these cases are actually confirmed to be fraudulent, that certain consequences will be met. So let's listen to Carolyn Levitt.
Does President Trump want those Somalis to have their citizenship revoked if convicted of fraud?
Absolutely. And it's something the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of State is currently looking at right now. It's something this administration has already done. And we know that there are liberal activist judges across the country who will try to block and tackle this administration from pursuing justice at every turn. But that's not going to stop the president and his entire cabinet by acting on behalf of law-abiding, tax-paying citizens in the state of Minnesota and in states across the country who have been ripped off by people who abused our immigration system, came to our country, do not love our country or respect our values, and now have been ripping off and stealing money from law-abiding Americans. This administration is not going to tolerate it. And again, this is a whole of government effort. We've surged resources. As you pointed out, the Department of Justice has already charged and prosecuted nearly 100 people. In fact, some of the buildings and some of the sites that Nick Shirley exposed in that video are under current investigation by the Department of Justice. One of those sites, the Midway building, resulted in 13 defendants already being charged earlier this year under the leadership of our Attorney General and President Trump.
So I want to ask you in the comments section, okay, do you believe the White House? I'm going to play devil's advocate here. Okay, it's one thing to see a viral video of something the White House has uncovered and is working on. It's another thing to see the White House or the DOJ react to a viral video and we start seeing movement after the fact. So do you believe them? Do you think that all of the movement that we're seeing right now was instigated by Nick Shirley's coverage? Of course, Nick Shirley's coverage has created a firestorm where other independent journalists are now going door to door. It's now a thing. It's now a thing where people are going door to door and trying to uncover fraud in their own cities. And I hope that they figure out how to do this the right way. I don't like the idea that this becomes like a trend. And then it's just, okay, how many fraudulent outfits have you found? And then you do a viral video only for that to now get debunked. And it turns out that that was actually legitimate business. I don't thrive on sensationalism. I don't. I want us to get down to the truth. And if the truth is that some of these videos are sensationalized and we're losing the plot about the real corruption happening, then it is a net loss for all of us. But if we're actually uncovering some serious crimes here, okay, against the American taxpayer, then I would say, well, it's a good thing. But do you trust that the White House is moving simply because they've already been investigating these things, or is it prompted by the actions and the activities of Nick Shirley? Now we're going to be switching over to the audience engagement phase of this story, where we settle down and we cover the chat and the comment section, and where we talk about all of this in a flowing way. So keep your comments coming in, and then join us on the follow-up live stream, because what we do is we end this live stream and then we switch over to the second part of the stream, where we simply talk about the stories that were covered. Now, so just put your comments in the comment section and then we will have a conversation. The call-in feature will be activated during that segment of the live stream. Now, I would like to say that tonight we're going to be having an earlier segment where we're going to be doing the best and worst stories of 2025. So you get to pick the stories that worked for you, the stories that didn't work for you, and you can put them in the comment section during that live stream, and we can cover them and talk about them and essentially relive the greatest hits of 2025 and the worst things that we saw in 2025. So that will be happening at 6 p.m. Eastern. So I'm inviting you to be a part of that show. So we're going to be moving over to the reaction segment of the show. So hang in there. Now, if you're watching for the first time, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share the video, and support us by sending me your comments, and then support us financially by donating using the super chat or super thank feature on YouTube. If you want to use the link in the description of this video to support us through the StreamYard, so is it StreamYard? Anyway, there's a link there that you can use to make your donation. Use that, and then we will be very grateful because it helps us keep the lights on. Now we're switching over to the next part of the live stream. So we're going to be ending this and then kicking off a new live stream. I hope you join us for that one.